Hello everybody, welcome to the 11th tutorial in the series Learning Best Through Scripting. This is called Wheels, and in the last tutorial we went over populating the remove member function using sid-i and using echo-e and talking a little bit about the escape characters. In this tutorial we're going to fix the logic pitfall of the program, which is that if you enter some seemingly random, let's remove club the text one more time, and let's bash club. We're going to deal with club 9 the bash. We have really not changed anything in club 9. We just copied all the code in club 8 and pasted it in club 9 the bash, just to work with club 9 the bash in the logic fixing part. And let's say that's Goldman is 15, and let's really add some more people like Goldwheels. Well, these are the necessary people, and club master, and he's a 37, and let's register Martin, and he's at 17, and let's register Bob, or let's say Joan, and he's at 21. Let's register Bob, he's at well, let's say what's that, 28 for example. And finally let's register Adams, and he's at 14. And well, that's great. If we get club text, we see that the club has really got some new members like Joan, Bob, and Adams. And then if we just, to make sure that this works, register member, and let's say my name is, for example, let's say Dan, and then Dan is not written like that. Anyway, so please enter your age in 45. It says, sorry Dan, you do not qualify. It's been a long time since we last saw this statement, but just to ensure that the logic's still working and that we haven't really blown up everything. So the logic pitfall here was that when we grep -q $code club the text, we remove the line that contains this code, and here if we grep the code from club the text, if it's there, then we grep the line that contains this string. And really the code is anything that the user submits. If we get club the text and we bash club9.bash, and then the user accesses, for example, Bob, and we enter 13 to access Bob, it says Bob, although the code was 10.174. The reason for this is that grips for any string, or actually grips for this value in any part of the line, not in the second part where we wanted it. It grips for any part in the line. So when it sees Bob, that's his code, that's his age, and that's the date, and he registered that 1/10/13. And 13 is the value that the user enters here. 13 was found in this line, and hence this line gets printed. Grep does not really care whether this is the code of the member or not. It really just cares whether the value is in this line or not. 13 was not in this line, and it wasn't printed. 13 wasn't in this line, and wasn't in this, wasn't in this, wasn't in this, and it wasn't in the last one. But it was in Bob's line. So that's why Bob got printed, because 13 was there. The string itself, 13, was there. And that's why if we want to access, for example, EDT, and EDT is found in every line, we're going to get the whole file down. And that's why when we cat club the text, and in the tutorial, well, let's see, sid-i, and let's, for example, say, I don't know if that's happened at the last tutorial, I don't really remember that, but anyway, if we said, and let's say someone's code is 2018. Now we say that we're not going to use -i because that will explode the club text file. It will completely eradicate it. And /club.text. Well, if someone's code is 2018, he would get removed. However, 2018 itself is existent in every line, and this means that all of these lines get removed since 2018 is in this line, is in every line. and that's why we get nothing to the standard output, because everything was removed. If we cat club the text, everything is already there still, because we didn't use the -i option. Remember that. But how do we tell grep that we only need you to compare this code to the members code and not to any other string, even if it's existent in this line? Well, this can be, as we said, this can be done using a hard solution and an easy solution. The easy solution is obviously changing the if statement using a simple piping technique, and that's really everything. But we're not going through that. We're going to through that in the end of the tutorial, or in the end of the second tutorial, because I do think that the logic pitfall would require these two tutorials. And we're not going through the easy one, we're going through the hard one, just as I said, to exercise the logic pitfall muscle. And well, so the problem here is, well, we're going to try to fix it using, instead of if grep -q $code club the text, then we're going to say cat club.text, and while read line do, and we're going to really remove these. These are the real heart of the remove member function, and we're going to, yeah, that's excellent. And if $code is equal to $line, then we do this. Else we echo the member you specified does not exist, and then we fine. So what this will do is it will cat club the text and then pipe that into a while loop. Now, what does piping really mean? It means take the output of a command and put it through the next command. For example, if we cat club the text and from here we grep for Joan, then it will print Joan's line. And what this did is it took the output of cat club the text and well, moved it into the grep command. So this will grep -Joan from the output of club the text. That's really piping. And here we cat the club the text into a while read loop. And this means, what this means is, well, let's first talk about read way. How does it read? It reads the input line by line, so that if I cat club the text, it will take this line in the first iteration of the while loop, and then, let me put this here, it will take this line in the first iteration of the while loop, it will then take this line in the second iteration, take this in the third, take this in the fourth, and take this in the fifth, and this is it. So it really reads line by line, and that's why we said while read line here just for clarifying the code. It really can be any other variable name, for example text, and here we say while $text equals, or sorry, while $code equals $text. It really can be any variable name, but line is just for clarification and reminding the reader of the code that reads line by line. So that's everything. And while read line, if the code is equal to the line, then we remove it. Else, we say the member you specified doesn't exist. But this actually doesn't really remove, or doesn't really help in fixing the pitfall. It actually makes matters worse. So what this does is, well, let's create a variable. Let's cat club the text and create a variable code equal to, for example, Adam's code and 28445. Now let's create a line variable and make that equal to the whole line of Adams. And this is it. So if we echo $code and we echo $line, we can find that these are different. Now this is, yeah, that's part of the line variable, but it's not the line variable. So the code is never equal to the line. Even if the code is in the line, sorry, it's never in the line. So that's what the program says. Sorry, your code is never equal to the line, although it is part of it. And we can check this using $code equals $line. If the program exits with the status of 1, then it's false. And if the program exits with the status of 0, then it's true. Now you might be surprised how I used the brackets in a terminal. That's because the brackets themselves, the brackets with something inside, and remember the spaces, this is a standalone program called the test program. This is the test. And another way to use it is the double brackets. And that's how we use it with an if statement. It's just, well, we say if $code is equal to line, and if the test program exits with a status of 1, then the if block knows that it's false and doesn't execute. If it exits with the status of 0, however, the if statement knows that the code is, or sorry, that it is true, and the block executes. So this is not really part of the if statement. It's a standalone program that is used for, yeah, for if statements and for while loops or for any conditionals, but the double brackets are themselves a standalone program. So if we clear, and we can see that, as we say, $code, and the reason we're using code and line in quotations is that line contains spaces, and to protect yourself against spaces in variable, we use quotations. So if that equals $line, and we echo the exit status, and it says it's 1. However, if we say is $line equal to $line, and that's obviously true, if we echo the exit status, it will be 0, which means it's true. And that's why the code is never equal to the line, so we can't really use this. But we need to see if the code is in one of the lines. The way we do this is we're going to cat club the text. We only want this code. This is technically the second field relative to the colon character. So that's the first field, then the colon, then the second field, then another colon, then the third, and so on. So if we can cut using the colon as the delimiter, and we cut at the second field, we only want the second field, we get this. Now, we get all the codes just as expected, but why do we get a space? This is because the field itself contained the space. So this contained the space here, and this contained the space. So it always prints with a preceding space because the field did contain the space. And to remove that space, we use the trim-d and tell it to remove the space, which means remove the space character. And here we always get, or sorry, we only get the code that we want. So we can say if the code equals echo line and then cut-d at this line using the colon as a delimiter, and we only want the second field, and then we trim-d the space, and we want to set $code from the file. Well, here what we will get is, for example, let's echo line, and it is equal to this. If we echo $line in cut-d colon -f2, we get this, but we still get a space, so we want to remove that space, and we get the code itself. So that's what happens to every line in the file. We echo the line and modify it just so it becomes only the code. And then we check if this code is equal to is equal to the code in this line, and if it is equal to, then we remove this whole line, and if it is not, we echo the member you specified does not exist. Now this seems beautiful. We have just fixed the logic Pitfall, and if we cat club.text and then we bash club9.bash, well, yeah, unexpected end of file. That's amazing. That's always what you want to get. And the reason for this is, well, let me see. Yeah, I forgot the brackets of the function. And okay, so please choose a number, and we try to remove a member, and we try to say, well, 28445 this time. We're going to remove 28445. Now a weird thing happens when you run the program. It says the member you specified does not exist. It prints this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And if we see the lines here, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. The reason for this is this happens because of two things. The first thing is that every time the code is not equal to the line, it prints the member you specified does not exist. So it will reach Goldman first, and then the code is not Goldman, so it says the member you specified does not exist. It will reach Cold Wheels and do the same for Cold Wheels. It will reach Clubmaster and do the same, Martin, Joan, Bob, and do the same. But why didn't it show that Adam's line, although Adam's code is what we entered, 28445 is what we entered, and it was Adam's code, why didn't it remove Adam? If we cat club.text, we can see that Adams is still there. Now the reason for this is the following. Good. If we cat club.text, and for every line in club.text while read, if we cat club.text, and while read each line, we echo the line and cut dash D. Well, first let's echo line without a $sign and a colon dash F2 tr dash D space done. What this would do is, ouch, we forgot. Wow, I did this totally wrong. I forgot the do. What this would do is it will always print line, and that's what we forgot here. It's the $sign, and this means, or this shows that as the code gets more complicated, you can forget even the most simple stuff, which means that yes, echo here echoes the $line, and instead of $line we told it to echo the line word, and since we wanted to echo the line variable, we used the $sign. That's what we forgot. And if we bash club9.bash and remove and let's first cat club.text and then bash club9.bash and try to remove Adams 28445. It does remove Adams, but first, for every line that does not contain this code, it says the member you specified does not exist. We really only want this to be executed if the member you specified does not exist in the whole file and not in a line. We only want, if the code is not existent in the whole file, then please print the member you specified does not exist. We can do this using a return statement, and we'll explain this in the next tutorial, since we're really closing up to 20 and then the video becomes buggy. And so in the next tutorial we're picking up where we left off, and until the next tutorial, guys, see you later.